This week on the WriterCon podcast.
That winding and circuitous route you may find yourself on as you're an aspiring writer is going to totally make sense someday. And when it does, your dream will arrive and everything will notch into place. Hang in there.
Welcome to WriterCon, a gathering place for writers to share their knowledge about writing and the writing world. Your hosts are William Bernhardt, best-selling novelist and author of the Red Sneaker books on writing, and Lara Bernhardt, award-winning author of the Wantland Files book series.
Thank you, Jesse Ulrich. Hey there, writers. Thanks for joining us. All right, first off, as we record this, we still have 3 spots left at the WriterCon Retreat at Canebrake, and I would love to see you, yes, you, take one of them. Or 2, or possibly all 3. Okay, maybe that's excessive. Although, who knows, you might have friends. And at any rate, at the retreat, we are going to take a deep dive into your, or whoever's theirs, works on progress. Is that the plural? That works in progress, or possibly even your works in planning. We'll have group sessions where we talk about all kinds of various topics of interest chosen by the participants. We'll have Laura there, plus 3 other speakers who are going to attend, including a fantastic agent who will meet with every single person there. I mean, if you want to, we're not going to force that on you, but here's a chance to have a one-on-one with an agent that you're not likely to get otherwise. Fantastic agent who sells books all the time. And then we will break into smaller groups so you can get feedback from a number of people who over the course of the 5 days will come to know your story almost as well as you do. Future beta readers, maybe. Plus, the food is superb and Canebrake is beautiful. So, what's holding you back? If you're ready to take the next big step toward publishing, here's your chance. Laura, what have I left out?
Well, you talked about all the good work we do, but we not only work hard, we also play hard. So you have to remember that there are hikes that we can go on. Bill and I definitely utilized the pickleball court last year. That was so much fun. There's a pool, which I don't think we didn't yet. We're definitely trying that this year because I don't think we got in the pool last year. There are walks. I went on a morning walk every morning. I saw bunnies and I saw deer and there are birds everywhere. It's just beautiful and relaxing. And we also had that cookout one evening out by the pool.
Very nice.
I hope we do that
again.
They
do a great job taking care of us.
Fun. I mean, you did mention the food, but that was particularly fun. I'm looking forward to it so much. I'm so excited about it. I've got my WriterCon shirt on because I can't.
Cool. Jesse, what is your excuse for not being there this year? I mean, it just won't. Well, it will be okay, but still,
it won't be.
We'd probably double our attendance if the renowned sound engineer and James Patterson disser Jesse Ulrich was going to be there.
Both a nerdy reason and a social justice-y reason. During those dates, I'll be going to Seattle to see a live D&D roleplay show. And then going directly from that trip to Stillwater, where I help co-run a program called the Anytown Leadership Institute, where we have 30 to 50 teenage delegates, and we teach them about issues in the world and how to, fight for them and whatnot. So,
fantastic.
2 red-eye flights and then spending a week with teens, which is why I will not be at.
All right. We'll let it slip this time.
I'm proud of you for doing that, but only the young. I'm glad I'm going to be at Canebrake, relaxing by the pool.
Yeah. One of the few one of the few reasons I do it, not because I like, helping educate the next generation, but also so I know what's cool these days. So it's good to know.
Yes.
You
can bring it back and share with us.
That's how I first discovered Lizzo. It's how I first discovered what's her face?
Give us a hint. Sabrina Carpenter.
Why am I blanking on her name? We're going to edit this part out. Hold on.
Do it straight.
Chapel Roan. Yes.
Chapel Roan, of course. Pink Pony Club.
Yeah, like right before it was everywhere. These teens were like, "Yeah, this is our jam." I'm like, "Cool."
Nice. Okay, people, that was officially the last commercial this year for the retreat. From this point on, we're focusing on the WriterCon conference, which of course is Labor Day weekend at the Hilton Skirvin in Oklahoma City. And as it happens, we have one of our keynote speakers with us today, Laurie L Dove, who scored a huge success earlier this year with her debut novel, Mask of the Deer Woman, which is a thriller set on a Native American reservation with indigenous characters, hit the USA Today bestseller list and a bunch of others virtually the instant it was released. And the reviews are fantastic. Laurie's an award-winning journalist with a master's degree in creative writing and literature from, what's that called? Oh, yeah, Harvard. And we'll be talking to her about all that and much more. But first, the news. News story number one, which is actually the only news story today. We are going to take a deep dive into the world of AI and how it will, and in some respects already has, impacted writers. I know some of you probably feel like every day is a deep dive into AI because it seems like all a lot of people are talking about, but there were so many relevant stories this past week, I thought we should just pile them all together and try to make some sense of it, particularly now when we've had two major legal decisions. I would have thought, and I did go to law school technically.
Technically.
I would have, technically, I am a lawyer. I would have thought it was obvious that allowing AI programs to scrape copyrighted works to train the program was improper unless you have permission from the copyright owner. But two courts have now said it was permissible, at least under some circumstances. In this most recent case brought by an AI company called Anthropic, the court ruled that using copyrighted works, even some that were downloaded, millions that were downloaded illegally from pirate internet sites, fell under the category of fair use, which basically, to cut to the chase, means you can do it. Laura, how does that make you, a writer who probably wrote some of that copyrighted work, feel?
Completely disagree with the decisions on this, but lately I just kind of live in a constant state of outrage that's making me numb to everything, to be honest. Especially when it's been pirated. Unbelievable. We've been hearing so much about, we just watched an interview, an episode of John Oliver where he talked about AI slop. AI is producing so much garbage lately, and the fact that they are stealing the work from people who worked very hard in order to train them to try to do better, it is infuriating, and it does absolutely feel like theft. And I don't know how anyone could rule that this is okay. We've all probably at this point seen the leaked comments from, I think it was Meta, somebody who said, well, we can't pay all those people. It wouldn't be cost effective. So let's just steal it.
And deal with that later. How does the judge
decide, yes, that sounds completely fair?
Well, here's what happened, and this is not in dispute. Anthropic has acknowledged it. They downloaded millions of copyrighted books in digital form, obviously, from pirate sites. They also purchased some books, no info on how many, but according to them, they bought actual paper books and ripped the covers off and fed the page into a spanner, creating digital files. The point that they were trying to achieve was to amass a central library, and this is a quote, of all the books in the world to retain forever, end quote. So what the judge ruled was that, the judge said that they acquired at least 5 million copies from places like, I'm not going to say the name of these pirate sites. You figure it out for yourself. You shouldn't be pirating books anyway. But the point is, they got at least 7 million books from various pirate sites. And to be fair, although the court said that using those books to train its program was somehow fair use, creating a central library went too far. Jesse, I don't really see the difference. Do you?
No, I'm very confused because, as someone who, when they were younger and had less money, did pirate things, that was a crime. And the fact that they are pirating things, and I actually went to the sites that you did not mention, and you can, on this one site, you can download, it's like an 88 terabyte file of just every
Holy
nonfiction
smokes.
book that they had.
It probably wasn't even hard to download all those books.
I mean, it takes some time. That's a big file. But like and it specifically said to be used for LLMs, for, large language models. I don't understand this. Like, there are rights. We have copyrights. We have, if libraries can only give out 2 versions of an ebook, I don't understand how that's allowed.
Yeah.
They're not allowed to buy more ebooks at a regular price, but people can just download every book to make an AI model. This doesn't make any sense to me.
I had the idea that maybe book pirating was diminishing because once upon a time, it seems like, when you get the Google Alerts reports on your name, about half of them were pirate sites, but I haven't seen that in a long time. But maybe they just don't want my books anymore.
I'm with you. I had that same feeling. It felt like I was hearing much less from writer friends about discovering their books on pirated sites. So I was with you. I thought maybe we were kind of trending down. There's so many ways to get books that isn't akin to stealing them, that I thought maybe we were learning as a collective culture.
Right. Well, the AI problems, of course, aren't just focused on word-based things like books. Another controversial aspect of AI are the programs that generate images, although that's still of importance to writers because those images are usually based on some well-known intellectual property like Disney characters or Star Wars or something like that. Disney and Universal have now sued a company called Midjourney. You've probably seen their work around if you've been on social media. This is the first time Hollywood companies have taken any kind of legal action against these programs or the makers of these programs that generate images. But you can see why. Disney owns Star Wars. And like, for instance, Jesse, the graphic I sent you on this story has Darth Vader and it's all generated by AI. Star Trek, of course, same thing. That, are you seeing a lot of AI Dr. Trek images?
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of weird, like, I would say actually more Lord of the Rings than Star Trek things. I'm seeing a lot of AI videos of like if Star Trek was, I don't know, like a Western, or if Star Trek was, I've seen a lot of if Game of Thrones was like a hillbilly show. And I'm just like, why are we doing this?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I mentioned Star Trek because, of course, I think the fandom has been huge to keeping that franchise alive. Take it from the guy who remembers the great interregnum, the 10 years between end of first series and the first movie. And it was fan fiction and stuff like that that was keeping it alive. So I think the attitude with the owners, Paramount, has always been, as long you can write stories, you can make films, new episodes of the series, as long as you're not making any money off it or doing it for commercial reasons. But is this the same thing? Is this just going to be people playing around and keeping the franchise alive?
Again, I don't understand why they're spending so much energy and time on creative things when they could be spending all this time making AI products that make our lives easier.
That's right.
Stop trying to make it easier for me to organize my emails, make it easier for me to make a to-do list that tracks where I am and whatnot. Stop trying to make art.
Mm-hmm.
But art, art is sexy and flashy. I'm like, stop.
Well, here's the thing. I mentioned fan fiction because that's been so important to not just Star Trek, a lot of franchises. And a new controversy is that a Reddit user, I'm not going to say this name either, but he scraped 12.6 million fan fictions from an online repository called Archive of Our Own and uploaded the data set to Hugging Face, which is a company that hosts AI software. That was discovered by the Reddit community, and they've been griping about it ever since. Now, fan fiction, of course, is something that you usually cannot sell for profit, and you don't own the copyright, at least to the characters. So is this the same, or is it still offensive that people are feeding this stuff into their AI? Jesse, what do you think? You have such a troubled expression on your face.
I just hate that we exist in a space where we have We have leaders who don't understand the technology, so are afraid to try to regulate it. And we have companies with billions of dollars that just need to create more billions of dollars to make their stakeholders happy. And we can't have the conversation about what is the point of this.
And speaking of politicians and technologies and social media, there's TikTok, which was supposed to have, been banned if it wasn't sold, but it hasn't yet. And Book Talk has been enormously important in promoting books. But now you've got a wave of people on TikTok accusing other authors of using AI, either to conceal the fact that they've plagiarized a plot or to feed tropes into a formula. We've got people on TikTok now who are actually taking videos of themselves editing a manuscript to prove that they've done it themselves, rather than an AI. Lara, you're the writer. Is this appalling, or is it smart, or are you going to start doing it? What do you think?
No, I don't like when anybody just hops on a bandwagon and starts complaining. I saw something online about people were convinced that if you use an dash, it must have been written by AI. I think you have to at least know what you're talking about. That's nonsense. So when people who don't know what they're talking about all just kind of run after something, I don't think that it ends well. I don't mind that they're against AI. I have someone I'm friends with who is working on a book and came to me and was complaining about a coworker who didn't, according to my friend, they wrote something with AI and they were putting it out there, and friend was concerned that it was going to be an overnight bestseller. And
that would concern me too. Yeah.
And I get that when we are working hard at our craft and we see somebody who just kind of churns something out overnight and is like, there we go, I'm just going to throw it out there and see what happens. It's not something that they've actually made, and I understand it. But of course, I've been keeping an eye on it, and it's not going anywhere. I think that the idea that there's a backlash against the AI is not a bad thing, but I would say don't just start attacking authors, especially if you don't know for sure. Just don't, if you think that it's not a well-written book, just don't buy it, don't read it, don't. And if you think that it might have been something churned out by AI, that it might be, just don't read it. You can say, you can even review it. You can say, this didn't read well. It didn't feel good to me. I didn't enjoy it. Not a good experience. That's fine. But I wouldn't attack an author and start accusing them of things without knowing for sure.
Yeah, you wouldn't, but I'm shocked. But I think that these kind of flame wars do occasionally happen on social media, and that's probably not going to end. I like the bottom line Jesse gave it, because I think there probably are some things that AI could do that would make, short of becoming Skynet and taking over the world, there are probably some good practices, but keep it away from art. We don't need computers competing with writers or visual artists or anybody else. Let's let art be art.
Yeah. It's hard enough for artists to make a living these days.
Yes, exactly.
Why are these tech nerds, and I'm a fellow tech nerd, but why are these tech nerds being like, yeah, I'm going to create this thing to get rid of artists? Why? What did they do to you?
Yeah. We're all on the same team.
Is it because they can't do it? Anyway. All right. Enough of that. Craft Corner. In this episode, we're going to be continuing this great series John Meyers has given us. We've done 2 previous, and this third installment is about using real life experiences in your fiction, the pros, and be careful, the cons as well. Take it away, John.
Craft Corner.
Hey everybody, welcome to WriterCon's Craft Corner. I'm John Meyers. I'm half of Write Better Together. The other half is Emily Brooks, my business partner. She and her husband are preparing to have a baby, so she won't be here today. Speaking of Emily, she and I hosted a webinar last month called Dipping into the Well of Your Life for Inspiration, Living a Life Worth Writing About. There are things that I want to talk to you about today that you can dip into the well of your own life and use them. I'm going to talk about memoir, but they apply to fictional characters as well, and you'll see why in a second. Point number one is your story isn't about who you think it is. People set out to write a story, a memoir, and I got news for you. This is why it's better when Emily's here, because she'll break it to you more gently. Unless you're Oppenheimer or Barbie, you might not have done enough, something big enough to write your life story. Now, some of you have. Some of you are doctors who have discovered things or had a life-changing recovery from something. So some of you do, but a lot of us don't. However, to use a fictional example, none of us have ever made meth and sold meth like Walter White in Breaking Bad. However, we do have common experiences. We all know what it's like to not be able to pay a bill, or how am I going to take care of my family, or how am I going to recover from this disease. So even though we don't cook and sell meth, there are things in Walter White's life that we can connect with our readers. And so that's my point. Number one, your story isn't about you. It's really about your readers. You want to find the things that will impact your readers because they've been through them too. Point number two, your most powerful moments aren't the moments you think they might be. We've all been around someone who scored the winning touchdown at state in high school, and now they're 50 years old and they're still talking about it. We've heard that story, and we know that story. There's no surprise. There's no conflict. An more interesting moment would be we lost at state because I was the star quarterback and I wasn't allowed to play because I was in detention because I skipped school with my girlfriend and we were making out underneath the bleachers. Now that's a story. You're not the hero, but everyone has had a failure at an important moment in their life and they can relate to that. Finally, number three, sharing your pivot point isn't as easy as you think it is. Emily and I both teach college students from time to time. We'll have students write about a pivot point they've lived through, and it'll just be, I was on spring break, we left home, got on the plane, we went there, had a great time. There's no specific intimate moment, but a pivot point has, you were one way on Tuesday, pivot point happens, you're another way on Wednesday. So I decided what my major was going to be the freshman year at college. That's not a pivot point. The pivot point, the interesting thing is I still had an undeclared major in college and I was tired of washing dishes at Applebee's. I slipped. The dish broke. I cut my hand open. Had to have 13 stitches. I'm done working at Applebee's. I'm going to go after my dream and clear my major. That's a pivot point. So there are things that you can do, real moments from your life that can emotionally impact your reader. Thanks, William, Laura, and Jesse.
Thank you so much, John Meyers. Now, let's talk to Laurie L Dove. Laurie L Dove, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. Okay, traditional first question. If you could offer writers one piece of advice, what would it be?
That winding and circuitous route you may find yourself on as you're an aspiring writer is going to totally make sense someday. And when it does, your dream will arrive and everything will notch into place. Hang in there.
That is so good to hear, because I've been doing this for like 35 years and I'm still waiting for it to all coalesce and make sense to me. But I'm going to take your word for it, because after all, you got a creative writing degree from Harvard, for Pete's sake, right? So
I
not
did.
bad. And then you had several other careers before writing. You're an award-winning journalist, right?
I am. And writing this book was always the dream. So to come back full circle and at 50 to get a master's degree, have this book published by one of the big five, it was literally a lifelong dream come true.
Yeah, and great results when it came out too. Some of the best reviews for a debut novel, or any novel I've ever seen. And we'll get to that in a second, I promise. But I also wanted to ask you about teaching. You're also teaching, right?
I do. And I love it. I'm teaching in a couple of different ways. I am an adjunct professor at a local university, and I love to teach creative writing and media writing. I did that for a long time, and I love the energy and hopefulness and gumption that my students bring to what they're passionate about. And I tell them, follow those passions, even when it doesn't always look like you might have an economic driver to go full steam with it. I've been there, follow it anyway. But the other thing that I'm looking forward to is teaching at WriterCon later this year. So I'm very excited about that. I love talking about books and writing, and it is literally my favorite thing to do.
Yeah, you're going to be our keynote speaker on Sunday afternoon, if I recall correctly, and doing some more teaching too. Do you remember what some of your other topics are?
Well, one of the things that I want to talk about is really, I think, kind of a new concept, which is the concept of a literary thriller. And I think in some ways that's where my book falls. And I've been reading a lot of books that I think fall in that area too. So I think it's an interesting marriage of a couple of different styles that we're really seeing an upswell of right now. So I'm looking forward to diving into that.
Yeah, well, I'll be there for that session because I think you're totally right. All right, people, I've made people wait long enough. Tell us about this fantastic debut novel, Mask of the Deer Woman.
Thank you. Well, it is centered around the idea that to find a missing young woman, the new tribal marshal must first find herself. So Carrie stars at rock bottom. She's an ex-Chicago detective who has left the force and left the state after the death of her teenage daughter. She returns to the reservation in Oklahoma where her father was raised because the tribe needs a new Bureau of Indian Affairs marshal as much as she needs a place to kind of reset and get herself together. But she's immediately embroiled in the case of a college woman from the reservation who is missing. And she really falls into that investigation that leaves her drowning in memories of her own daughter, the girl that she failed to save. And while she feels lost in this place that she thought would welcome her, she catches a glimpse of this figure who is Deer Woman, and she cannot shake the feeling that this fearsome spirit is watching her, following her. But what she doesn't know is whether Deer Woman is here to guide her or to seek vengeance for the lost daughters that Star can never bring home.
Oh, wow. That sounds so interesting. And I suspect that your decision to set this on a reservation was very intentional. Can you talk to us a little bit about what themes you were exploring there and why you went that route?
It was. I started writing this book without really a plan for the type of book I was writing. But what I did have were these big questions. And for me, it began as an exploration of identity and belonging. I'm adopted by Mennonite farmers in Kansas, but my birth family is indigenous. And I started with those big questions of, through this fictional character on this fictional reservation, what might this look like for this character from all sides? And along with that, I have several daughters, and they're the age where they're going out in the big wide world and they're courageous and they're doing all of their own things, but I'm still a mama. And so all of those worries, I think I kind of channeled into this book. And while I was researching it, I came across some really shocking statistics about missing and murdered indigenous women. Not that I was unaware that this is an issue, but I was shocked at the prevalence of it and the prevalence of it in Oklahoma specifically. So that felt like a really important thing to hopefully be able to build some awareness about.
Fantastic. Excellent. I'm so passionate about women's issues. I've got to read this book. It sounds just like my thing.
Well, you've sold one already, so this is a successful interview, I would say. Of course, since I'm the thriller guy, I'm going to bring out that despite the serious background issues, which are very present, The reviews I read compliment you on what a page-turning thriller it is, as suspenseful and laden with plot twists. How do you come up with that stuff?
I found that after I wrote the first version of this book, which really grew out of a short story, that I had already written them in. I was leaving clues for my future self as I was writing. So then it was really a matter of going back in and recognizing those moments and layering in more tension, more suspense, more mystery.
Very interesting. So this one started as a short story. That's interesting. And then how do you think you'll approach novels moving forward? Are you like pantser, planner? Do you like to outline? What is your process like?
I am all of those things because I am very passionate about being experimental in writing. And I am obsessed with other writers' routines. So I will try them on for size. If someone gets up early and writes first thing, before the sun's even up, I'll try that. If they're doing that late at night, I'll try that. Whatever it is, I'm on board. So I suspect that every time I write a book, it will feel a little different in terms of routine. The first one came to life as a short story, and I did it all backwards. I wrote the ending first, then I wrote the rest of the story. And when I was done with that, I knew that this character, Carrie Starr, had a lot more to explore. She was complicated, complex, not always likable, but there is something about her that feels so real. And I was really excited then to be able to kind of break that short story apart and apply it as a framework for this first novel. And long before I was even done with this, I knew there was so much more of her life to explore that I'm happy to say it's now a series. The second book is with my publisher, and I'm really excited to see where she goes next.
I love that. I love telling people there is no one right way. And I like hearing you echo that whatever works, go with it. Whatever works for someone, I think, is what they should do. And no one can tell them it's wrong.
Well, we are not immutable. And I mean that in the best possible way. We're meant to grow and change and try things on for size. And even if you find a routine that really works for you, it may not work for you later. So that's not a failure. That's an expansion.
Love it. I can't wait to meet you. I'm so glad you're to WriterCon. Love it.
I am too. I'm so excited for it.
What does a typical writing day look like for you?
I'll leave out the dread and panic. No, I'm just kidding. I'm actually having the time of my life, so there really isn't much of that.
Yeah.
But it involves a lot of dog. So I take these writing breaks and pester my dogs or my children in between. But it looks like trying to get a solid 4 or 5 hours in of writing. And because I was a journalist for so many years, I do write pretty quickly. What slows me down are the decisions, because instead of covering a story or covering events that have already happened, or you can kind of predict what might happen, every decision is available for me to make in these books. And that was really the first thing I had to learn to grapple with. And for that, I realized that instead of my old approach, which was, sit down, get the words out, no matter what else is going around me, I can focus and do that. But what I learned with this is I need a roomier process. I need a lot of time to think, to cast those thought auditions in my head about, well, if I make this decision, where does it lead? Conversely, where does this other one lead? So that's what it looks like.
That's great. Fantastic. And this one, the story is developing as you are writing it. You're not just covering it, you're actually producing it. And so it is different. I also find that if I give myself room to breathe, that I will have more ideas that I probably wouldn't have thought of if I had just knocked it out really quickly and gotten it out there. So I think you and I are going to vibe. I think
I think so too. Yes, I really do. That sounds very familiar to me. And I have found in this sort of experimental process through writing the first one that has really been key for me, that time to kind of let thoughts marinate.
Yes. Very nice. Fantastic. What are some things you've learned kind of along the way? Something that you might share with our aspiring authors?
I think the biggest thing that I learned is something that you have heard a lot and will continue to hear a lot, hopefully, and that is don't quit. There are times in life when you may be forced to set it aside. We're always coming up against competing priorities, which is normal and natural, and change is the one constant we'll probably all experience. But just don't stop entirely. Come back to it, even if it's a few stolen minutes that you make for yourself, but come back to it and keep coming back to it. And even when you're in the middle of a story and you're thinking, I don't know where this goes, or maybe I know where it goes, I just don't know how to get there. Keep going. Sometimes you just have to do a thing so that you can learn how to do a thing.
Well, I love that, since that's virtually the WriterCon theme. You can't fail if you refuse to quit. So perfect.
Oh, yes, I love that.
So one last question, which I think I already know the answer to, since you said this is going to launch it. This book is going to launch a series, but what are you working on now? And what and when can we expect something new?
Cry of the Rain Crow is the second book in the series.
Great.
It's with my publisher now. We'll see that in 2026. I am currently writing a third book and a fourth standalone. I'm working on a screenplay just for my own fun. I like to be prepared no matter what happens. And I'm just excited to be so fully immersed in the world of books and book people who are the best people. And
Agreed.
I am truly having the time of my life.
Oh, that's so great to hear. Laurie, thanks so much for being on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. It has been a joy.
We'll see you in August at WriterCon. Thanks so much.
Sounds good.
Bye-bye now. Just a few parting words, because I got nothing to talk about now. I promised there'd be no more commercials about the Canebrake Writers Retreat, which is on July 16th to the 20th, and you can learn more about that at the WriterCon website. But the conference is definitely coming up this Labor Day weekend. That's August 29th through September 1 in Oklahoma City. Learn more about that on the website too, and hear more from the wonderful Laurie L Dove. Laura, what are you looking forward to most this year at WriterCon?
I'm still thinking about the retreat.
Okay, I'll ask you in a week.
I'm looking forward to meeting all the new people and seeing all of our returning friends. Watching this family grow, it just makes my heart so happy. Last year was the best, and I think this year will be the best. Every year's the best.
We are growing. Our numbers, even this far out from the conference, are up from last year. So I think we're going to have a good conference.
It's just like a great big family reunion for me every year. I love it.
Yeah. I'm excited to be back at the Skirvin. So.
Oh, yes. That'll be fun too. Bigger space, more room. We probably won't be scrambling quite so much to make sure there are a few seats in the sessions that get overstuffed.
Have I told you yet that we're going to have more sessions this year, like maybe 6 instead of 5? You're going to need more microphones, Jesse.
Yeah, I need to talk to your people about that. Let's get on top of the ball this time. I shouldn't have to be running around all day.
Yeah, Jesse records all the sessions, and then they're made available to people who attended the conference afterwards. So you can listen to them over and over again, all thanks to you, Jesse.
Listen, I'm just excited the Skirvin also has a hot tub. So let's go.
They do have a good hot tub.
That's
all
right.
See, the excitement is already starting to build.
Bubbling like a hot tub.
Yes.
Yep. Until next time, keep writing, everybody. And remember, like Laurie was telling you, you cannot fail if you refuse to quit. See you next time.